I've been reading a lot lately, which usually wouldn't be a bad thing, but in this case, I'm using it to procrastinate writing or getting ready to query. I want to start sending my book out to literary agents soon, but it feels overwhelming because of all the things that I need to do to prepare to do that. If I had my way, I would probably continue reading my book and pretend like I've got all the time in the world, but there's not. I'm a list person. Once something is in that format, I just feel so much more motivated to do it so that I can actually tick something off. Plus, it makes me less overwhelmed to see it broken down into manageable chunks. So I need to make a checklist, query, prep, checklist to keep me on track. I mean, the hard part is over. I've already written the book, but there is still things to be done. For example, I need to make sure the first 10 pages are as good as I can make them. Next, I've written a query letter, which is essentially the first bit of text a literary agent would read, basically trying to sell my book to them. And I've written a first draft. I've even written a second draft, but I think it needs one more pass. So I'm going to put final query letter edit. Most literary agents are just going to want the query letter plus whatever amount of pages, but some of them want synopses, so I feel like I should write a brief synopsis. This is honestly what I'm most nervous about writing because it's basically a very point by point what happens in your book, which can be really hard to condense a 95,000 word book into just one page. This will also come with edits. So I might say something else considers a lot of literary agents will call for maybe more than one page. So at some point I may have to edit this further and buff it out and make it bigger, but I think I'm going to stick to one or maybe 1 to 2 pages to start and see if I can really nail that down. And then the last thing to do is to actually build the list of literary agents. I've started to do this a little bit, but basically in a spreadsheet, I'm just going to scour the internet and write down all the literary agents I think would be interested in my book. And I really want to be super critical about this. Like I want to research the literary agents and be super confident that they would be interested in. So that way I'm not wasting my time sending a query letter to someone who's not potentially going to want it. And it helps me also stay more motivated, hopefully, if it means that I'm getting less rejection. So I think this is my list. It doesn't look like too much, but it feels like a lot. So I think I'm going to start with this synopsis because it kind of terrifies me the most. So I just need to get it done. I need to get it off my plate. Having to write a synopsis is almost what got me back into trying to get all these things prepared and start querying because I felt really lost. I didn't really know how to write a good synopsis, and that was kind of like holding me back. And I just didn't want to start without having an idea. And, the universe provided. I was watching YouTube shorts, and this video came up from this creator, Gina Denny, who does a lot of querying related and editing related content on YouTube, and I think also maybe TikTok. And this really short video came up of how to write a good synopsis. And it seemed really simple. So her strategy was, first step was to actually plot and come up with a plot outline, which I've already got from the very beginning because I plot my thrillers pretty extensively before I go into them. So I don't even have to do step 1, it's already there. Step 2 is use the plot to make a point by point of what happens based off of plotting structure. So for every specific moment where something big happens, write a sentence to encapsulate what's going on. So for the inciting incident, for the first plot point, for the midpoint, for all of these different things, just one sentence, string them together. And by the way, I think I've already almost got one sentence for each of those moments anyways, which means I'm almost already on step 3 without even having started. And so step 3 is you're connecting all of those sentences together, and then you're filling in all of the gaps. So you're adding more context to bring you to your page count. So it seems really easy, especially because I have all the material on my computer already. So we're going to give this a go. I'm feeling pretty optimistic that this is going to work out well. We have now finished the first pass of the brief synopsis, and I'm starting to do my edits for it. I tried to use the strategy that I was talking about, but I got a couple sentences in before I kind of abandoned it. Well, I didn't abandon it completely. Basically, instead of writing out all the sentences and then stringing them together, I couldn't help myself but string them together as I went along. But I did have open beside the page as I was writing it the point-by-point breakdown of the major plot events. And so from there, I knew I could just pull it over. So it's kind of like I combined multiple steps into one. And it definitely was not simple. Like, I feel like I was going back and forth and changing things and deleting paragraphs and adding them. Just because this type of writing is so different from, like, a narrative story. Like, I feel like it's just so blunt. There's not much personality in the writing. I don't know if there's really supposed to be. I think I should do a bit more research about whether or not this fits within the expectations, because it's very much like this thing happened and then this thing happened, so then that thing happened because of that, and like so forth. But something else that I've also been working on is the literary agent spreadsheet. And I want to share some of the things that I'm going to be tracking. I feel like there's a lot of gaming to be done with like literary agent stuff, like people who want to know this person answers in this amount of time and by this point it's too late and da 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 da. And I feel like having all that information would just overwhelm me. And maybe this is the wrong way about it, but I feel like I'm just going to go for it in the sense that I'm going to send it out and I'm not going to pay attention to, oh, this person usually responds in this amount of time and it's now a week past, because I feel like it's just too much. Like, I need to have a step back or else I'm going to become too obsessed and too focused in. So for now, what I have listed out when I've been doing the quick search of the person is, first I'll put the name of that agent and then the literary agency that they're at, as well as a website, either to like the manuscript wish list, which is like a larger website that lists a lot of literary agents, and then as well the things that they're interested in. So I'm either that or their literary agency website. I also have a column where I'm writing why I think that they're a good fit. So that way when I'm doing personalizations in the query letter, or I'm just like, why was I even interested in this person? I can pull from that. And then I have another column for if they're currently open, because not all literary agents are always open for submission. So I figured I could track that. Though, of course, if I take too long to apply to them, they might have closed by that point. And I do have turnaround time if they set it, and then synopsis, whether they need it or not, so either a quick yes or no. And I don't have anything there now, but I imagine I'll have a column for like date query letter was sent, and then potentially like rejection date or just rejected, yes, and then that way I can kind of stop it. I don't know, maybe I'll make this a bit more complicated over time, but this is what I'm going with so far. And right now I've got a list of 24 literary agents. It actually took me a lot longer than I was expecting, because I feel like with a lot of these literary agents, I'll like look them up, read through what they want, and then I also look at their literary agency and the other agents on their website to see if anyone there is a better fit. So by the time I like finish up looking through one person's stuff, like it's been like 20 minutes for like one person. And then sometimes I'm like, actually this isn't a good fit, which sucks because then you spend all that time looking them up. But anyways, so we have 24 so far, so that's feeling pretty good. There's a few that I think I should send to first because they seem to be like wanting to do things a bit faster. Like either they have announced recently that they're open and the specific book they want and maybe it's a good match, or like, yeah. But I think I'm going to spend some time and do a second pass on the synopsis and try and make it better, because this first one is a little bit rough and I have to decide, because I have some more space. I didn't quite take a full one page, so I can add a few more details. So I've got to decide what I want to spend the time to describe. I really just had to finish the last of the things on my query prep list. I should have finished them days ago, but I just have not had the motivation. And I don't think it'll take me more than max an hour. So I'm gonna make a cup of tea and I'm actually going to do this. I really locked in last night. I actually went past the first hour and did almost 2 hours of writing. And it's when I was getting to the edits of my actual manuscript. And I went through the first chapter, I went through the second chapter, I went through the third one. I was just having so much fun. Like, I forget how fun it is to be in this story. And it's kind of funny too, because I feel like I've almost had these like memory lapses where the more nervous I get for querying, the more I'm like, oh, you know, the query letter isn't ready, the manuscript isn't ready, the synopsis isn't ready. So that when I finally get the courage to actually open them and start working on it, I'm like, this is actually good. Like, I don't really know where else I can actually improve, you know, without potentially going to more outside sources. And I think at this stage, it's like good enough because from what I understand of the querying process, they don't expect a manuscript to be perfect. They don't expect there to be absolutely zero grammatical errors. Not that there can be that many, but there's like a little bit more room for mistakes like that. And as long as like the story is good, the characters are good, you know, there's the bones there, I don't think that that's as big of an issue. But then of course, like even now with just like a faint memory of what all those documents look like, I'm still, the doubts are starting to creep in again where I'm like, am I sure? Am I really sure though? It's just an ongoing battle where I'm going to have to convince myself it is good and send out that first query letter. But before I do that, there are still some little tweaks I want to make further into the story, just so that way I make sure that my manuscript is 100% the way I want it, because I know it's very not likely, but in the odd case that literally in the first week someone's like, I want to read this now, I want to make sure that I'm sending something that I'm 100% happy with. But the thing I was really focusing on in these later stages of revision of all of these documents that I need for querying is making sure that they all work together, because it can be really easy to write a query letter that's really good but might not reflect your story, or write a synopsis that might not reflect the query letter necessarily. So I really wanted to make sure that in all three places, in the synopsis, the query letter, and the first 10 pages, the person is getting a sense that all these things are the same. They're coming from the same source. It has the same vibe. We have the same stakes going on, just to make sure there's that consistency, because I feel like at this stage, querying is so difficult. There's so many queries being sent to a literary agent every day that even like a small mistake like that, where one of those documents is a little misleading, it's anything to turn off the agent, anything to make them feel like, nah, because it's such a like a one decision or the other, right? When they get that query package. And so I really want to make sure that I'm not doing any of the silly errors. So if I do get rejected, it's because I gave the best image of this story and they decided it wasn't for them, or I gave them my best writing and they decided that that wasn't the writing style that they enjoyed, which sucks, because that if I get rejected, it's very much like on me that I didn't do a good job where it counted and not because of a silly error. But that's kind of besides the point, because I think it's really scary to do something, especially since I'm going to be sharing it online. It's scary to be doing something where the chances of rejection are very high. Like the chances that I potentially succeed are less than the chances that I don't. And it's a little terrifying to be sharing so openly potentially all of the rejections that are going to come. I think it's important for transparency, and also at the end of the day, like, this is something I really want to do. This is something I want to pursue, and one rejection or all 100 of rejections for this specific novel is not going to stop me. I'm going to keep working, and I just have to believe in myself and the skills that I've developed over the years, and trust that I'm doing the best I can at this moment. And if it's not ready yet, if I'm not there yet, it is what it is, and I have to just keep going, maybe write another book. But this could also be really exciting. Like, this could be it. This could be the moment, you know, I can publish my first book. I can hit the ground running. You know, I could be one of those people that get accepted in the first week. That would be crazy. But I could also be someone who waits 6, 7 months and hears nothing, or gets it after a year. So it really is like a game of attrition, and I'm determined to make it to the very end.